Good afternoon and welcome. Tróna mai agus fáilte roh a cardja go baile achlia. By the authority given in the statutes of the Open University, I declare this congregation open for the conferment of degrees and the presentation of graduates. Distinguished guests, graduates and friends, it is my privilege and pleasure to welcome you to the 17th Open University degree ceremony being held in 2022. I'm also delighted to welcome to the ceremony some key friends and supporters of the university who have found time in their busy schedules to join us today. Our guests include Senator Annie Hoey, Sarah Jones, President of the Open University Students Association, Cinnamon McGuigan, Vice President for Education, and Patrice Belton, Vice President for Equality, Diversity and Inclusion. And a very special welcome to our honorary graduand, Mr. Niall Stokes. Niall, we're delighted to be able to honour you today and welcome your family to this event. Each year, the Open University awards a range of qualifications you've all worked so hard for, from certificates of higher education to doctorates. Throughout 2022, more than 8,000 graduates are being presented for their qualifications at degree ceremonies like this. For my colleagues, and certainly for me, these ceremonies are the highlights of our year because we're celebrating your success. Our degree ceremonies are held throughout England, as well as in Glasgow, Newport in South Wales, Belfast, and of course here today in the beautiful city of Dublin. Today you are graduating from the largest university in Europe, a university with extraordinary scale, scope and reach. And that success is down to what our graduates achieve, not just with the qualification you're going to receive today, but with the difference you're going to make with it. Now, it goes without saying that today is a very important occasion in the life of you, our graduates, your families and your loved ones, as well as the university and my colleagues who I hope you feel have nurtured you and supported you throughout your studies. Now, you could be forgiven for thinking that the occasion is so important that it needs to be solemn. Well, you'd be quite wrong. In every sense, this is a day of celebration. So I will be really, really, really disappointed if anyone crosses this stage to anything less than thunderous applause or whatever way you want to choose to express your enthusiasm and support. So with that in mind, could I ask all today's graduates who are able to stand to do so? Now, families and friends and Open University colleagues, let's start today's celebration by giving all of our amazing graduates a huge round of applause. Thank you, graduates. Please sit down. Now, I think that was quite good as a rehearsal. I'm sure when people are crossing the stage, we're going to get even louder. So thank you for that, everyone. There's another way you can show your congratulations to your graduate today. If you post messages or photos on social media, please use the hashtag #OUFamily. And that means that we can share your celebrations and your congratulations with the wider Open University community. Today's ceremony will begin with the presentation of those graduates who have graduated with higher degrees and first degrees of Bachelors of Arts, Bachelor of Engineering and Bachelor of Laws. They will be presented by Michael Barr, Assistant Director for Student Success and External Engagement in the Open University in Ireland. We will then see the awarding of the Honorary Doctorate of the University to Mr. Niall Stokes. Dr. Heather Richardson, Senior Lecturer in the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, will present Niall Stokes, who will then sign the Honorary Graduates Book, which is just in front of me, and make a reply. Then we will continue our presentation of graduates with those who have gained Bachelor of Science degrees and diplomas of higher education. They will be presented by Megan Ferran, Senior Policy and Public Affairs Manager with the Open University in Ireland. I will conclude the ceremony with a final address to the graduates, and I now call upon Michael Barr to present graduates.
Presiding Officer, I shall now present graduates who have gained higher degrees and have been able to attend here today. I present to you for the degree of Master of Arts in Creative Writing, Emer Hoare. For the degree of Master of Arts in English, I present Reg Luby. And for the degree of Master of Arts in Creative Writing, Danny McGreevy. For the degree of Master of Arts in English, I present Margaret Webb. For the degree of Master of Arts in History, I present Philip Condit. For the degree of Master of Arts in Online and Distance Education, I present Tim Cunningham. And Lindsay McGlynn. For the degree of Master of Business Administration, I present Rasib Chatterjee. Padraig Collum. John Connolly. Shirley Dalton. Lisa Ives. Lydia Martin. Alec McAllister. Sinead O'Regan. Sarah Radicki Asland. Kevin Reynolds. Samantha Scale. Miroslav Zemela. I present for the degree of Master of Science in Computing, David Wong. For the degree of Master of Science in Development Management, I present Julie McDonough. For the degree of Master of Arts in Translation, I present Alexandra Roger. For the degree of Master of Science in Engineering, I present Amanda Cook. For the degree of Master of Science in Human Resource Management, I present Claire McEntee. For the degree of Master of Science in Medicinal Chemistry, I present Elliot Perry. For the degree of Master of Science in Systems Thinking, in Practice, I present Stephen O'Brien. Presiding Officer, I shall now present graduates who have gained Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Engineering and Bachelor of Laws degrees and have been able to attend here today. The full subject details are printed in the insert within the ceremony programme. I present for the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Babafemi Adeleye. John Britton. Graham Campbell. Janine Devons. Michael Devons. Patrick Doyle. Ellen Flanagan. Isolde Goggin. Padraig Ivers. John Jarvis. Miriam Keegan. Francis Mahan. Leslie McCann. Carrie-Anne McMacken. Fergal McNulty. Andrew Milligan. Connor Murphy. Adrienne O'Regan. Elaine Scott. Leonard Van den Bos. Marcus Ward. Natasha White. Elizabeth Bugg. For the degree of Bachelor of Engineering, I present Graham Roberts. John Walsh. And for the degree of Bachelor of Laws, I present Pat Hanaway. Christopher Morgan. Valentin Nikolov.
Presiding Officer, colleagues, graduates, guests. As founder and editor of Hot Press magazine, Niall Stokes has worked at the cutting edge of Irish music and culture for more than 40 years, while also providing an essential space to debate the most pressing political and social issues in Irish society. Born in Dublin, Niall read English and history at University College Dublin before embarking on his career as a musician and songwriter. After experimenting with freelance journalism, he founded Hot Press in 1977 amid the cultural fervour of the punk revolution. Hot Press has remained true to its roots ever since. Hot Press helped establish the careers of many of the most significant artists in Irish music, from Sinead O'Connor to Snow Patrol and the Boomtown Rats to The Script. One of their earliest successes was a cover story on Thin Lizzy, which led to a lasting friendship with frontman Philip Lynott. Niall has since become an important curator of Lynott's legacy, producing and directing an exhibition and writing books on Lynott's life and work. Hot Press were also among the first to spot the potential with an emerging band called U2 in the late 70s. Niall went on to develop a lasting relationship with the band, including writing several essential guides to their music. Hot Press has provided a launchpad and lasting home for some of the most significant writers and commentators of the past few decades. It even had a fortnightly column by Michael D. Higgins, now President of Ireland, for over a decade. It has long been known for its innovative approach to journalism, pioneering long-form writing running over several issues. This provides an opportunity to scrutinise important political and cultural figures in depth, revealing unexpected new insights. In 1987, it contributed immensely to the peace process in Northern Ireland when, at a time when some of the worst atrocities were occurring in the Troubles, the magazine extracted from Gerry Adams, president of Sinn Féin, the historic admission that there is no military solution. That was the headline for Hot Press's cover story. From the outset, Hot Press sought to create a space where contemporary political and social questions were debated with more freedom than existing media permitted. They were willing to challenge religious and political authority and to engage with perspectives which traditional outlets shied away from. Niall's editorials continue to set the tone for the magazine, shining a light on political injustice and championing progressive causes, from the availability of contraception to support for gay marriage, as well as leading a leading role in the successful campaign to repeal the Eighth. Niall is a former chair of the Independent Radio and Television Commission and the recipient of numerous awards as an editor and journalist. In 2019, Niall celebrated the 1000th issue of Hot Press. Thanks to his leadership, the magazine remains as relevant and vibrant as ever, attracting new generations of readers and acting not just as a witness, but a driver in the transformation of Ireland over recent decades, including running powerful campaigns on mental health and against racism. Hot Press has also expanded its cultural remit, creating, among other broadcast and online activities, Rave On Van Morrison, to celebrate the work of the Belfast cowboy, marking his 75th birthday with the creation of over 75 videos of leading Irish artists singing Van Morrison songs. It is a pleasure to honour Niall's unique and essential role in Irish cultural and political life. Presiding Officer, by the authority of the Senate, I present to you for the honorary degree of Doctor of the University, Niall Stokes.
There are moments when you really have to stop and think. And this is one of them. Stop and think. What can I say to this splendid group of recent graduates and their friends and family that might actually mean something? Or that might, in some small way, help them on their forward journey into an unpredictable future. Stop and think before you speak. I want to begin by saying that it's a great privilege to be here today on the stage in Croke Park as the recipient of an honorary doctorate from the Open University. And to say thanks to John Darcy, who's head of the Open University in Ireland, and to Dr. Heather Richardson for her kind words. I am profoundly grateful. The Open University is a wonderfully idealistic organisation founded back in 1969 with the specific mission of democratising and modernising third-level education in the UK and making it accessible to all, irrespective of gender, class, age, creed, status, or race. And it has since spread its wings in Ireland and elsewhere in the world, which is a very, very good thing indeed. It's important to acknowledge the transformative importance of education. It opens us up to the values of listening. It makes us aware of how much we don't know. It fosters a spirit of inquiry. It enables us to go beyond the strictures of dogma and superstition. It encourages us to ask, what do I believe in? What do I really believe in? And why? Does it make any sense? For me, it's never been enough that something is handed down, that we were born into a particular place and therefore grow up under the influence of a given religion or in a family that has always supported a particular political party. We owe it to one another to take responsibility for what we say we believe in. And if it doesn't make sense, to start again and think afresh and decide, what do we really stand for? And how does that affect everyone else around me? How does that affect society? In bringing learning to huge numbers of people, the Open University fosters that vital spirit of critical exploration. Long may it continue to thrive in its enlightened, egalitarian mission. I'm also very grateful for the recognition of what we have achieved in Hot Press as a team and as a collective since the magazine was launched in 1977. Ireland, there's a few people in the room who might remember, was a desperately conservative, monocultural, and largely inward-looking place at the time. William Butler Yeats famously complained in Sailing to Byzantium in 1928, "This is no country for old men." Almost 50 years on, that axiom had been turned on its head. Ireland was not a good place to be young. Economically, it was stagnant. Inflation was running at 18%. Unemployment was high. There was a deeply unhealthy relationship between church and state. Censorship was rife. On this side of the border, contraception was officially available only to married couples, and again, only if it had been prescribed by a doctor. Homosexuality was illegal. There was only one state-sanctioned broadcaster in Radio Telefís Éireann, and an extremely conservative national newspaper industry. Popular music, or rock and roll, as we said for shorthand, was largely dismissed as vulgar and commercial and far less artistically important than opera, classical music, or ballet. And over all of this desperately murky cultural and political stew, the troubles in the north, and the bloody atrocities which were being carried out on all sides during that nightmare period, hung like a dark and suffocating cloud. Sectarianism was like a cancer, gnawing away at our insides collectively. At times, the whole sordid morass was enough to make you despair of people, to despair of humanity. But we knew, that we couldn't let the prevailing darkness get the better of us. We couldn't let bitterness take hold. We knew that there had to be a better way. As a young man graduating towards adulthood, it was music that first made me aware of the fact that there really was another great, big, wonderful world out there, far beyond Irish shores, a world that was teeming with possibilities, a world of hope and opportunity, a world with the prospect of wild adventures to be undertaken, if only we could find our way to them, or find a way of bringing them on home to us. I remember hearing the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and the Who and the Kinks for the first time, and it was like mainlining adrenaline. Seeing Bob Dylan singing Blowing in the Wind and With God on Our Side in black and white on the BBC, scrawling the name of the great black soul singer Otis Redding on a school copybook, hearing the Supremes pleading, "Stop in the name of love before you break my heart." Lying in bed on holiday in Donegal, listening to Radio Luxembourg under the covers, and hearing wah-wah guitar. What is that? Wah-wah guitar. For the first time ever, on Burning of the Midnight Lamp by Jimi Hendrix, and being utterly mesmerized and transfixed by where this music was coming from, by what it sounded like, otherworldly, and by where it was taking me into another dimension entirely. And there were no drugs involved at the time. Throughout the 1960s, and increasingly over the final 2 or 3 years of the decade, there was a flood tide of extraordinary creativity in music, with artists reaching across boundaries of time, place, cultural background, history, and influence for inspiration. The creativity was allied to a new kind of curiosity, openness, and ambition. This was where I wanted to find myself. There was also the moment when modern communications started to make it possible for people, and young people in particular, all over the world to hear music from far-flung places almost instantaneously for the first time. Women started to claim their place at the forefront of this great musical ferment. Otis Redding had written Respect, but when Aretha Franklin recorded it in 1967 and turned it on its head, issuing the immortal cry, R-E-S-P-E-C-T, find out what it means to me, it hit like a bolt of electricity. It was a moment of recognition, a clarion call for women all over the world. Things would never be the same again, and we would be all the better for it. Of that I had no doubt. Fundamental to all of this was a great and growing demand for freedom of thought and of ideas, and a burgeoning willingness to throw off the shackles of inhibition, of starched, buttoned-up control that had marked post-war culture here and elsewhere. In America, the civil rights movement was on the march. The demand for women's liberation was growing. And in 1969, the Stonewall Uprising marked a turning point in the battle for LGBTQI rights. On this little island, we were far from the epicenter of innovation, but this great explosion of musical and cultural experimentation had reached Ireland nonetheless. Van Morrison in Belfast, Rory Gallagher in Cork, Philip Lynott and Thin Lizzy in Dublin, and indeed dozens more had taken up the mantle. But these Irish musical pioneers had all felt the need to emigrate, to go elsewhere to earn their crust. The stranglehold exerted in Ireland by the dominant conservatism and its creeping deference to old hierarchies remained tight. Increasingly through the 1970s, a generation in Ireland had been faced with a stark choice: leave Ireland or set about changing it. Rock and roll music in its myriad forms had blown our tiny little minds wide open, and as a result, there was no way that we could simply sign up to the status quo on this island. It was with all of this in mind that we started to think about launching a magazine. That, of course, was my biggest ever mistake. For the bunch of demented young idealists who worked feverishly on the first issue of Hot Press, there were three strands to what we set out to achieve. The first was to write about, highlight, celebrate the wonderful, creatively inspiring music that was being made in Ireland. The second was to produce a great world-class magazine that would give a platform to a different, more radical kind of journalism and writing. And the third was to do anything and everything we could to change Ireland. We'd tear up the rule book that was applied elsewhere in the media. We'd give writers the freedom to express themselves. We'd use the language of the streets. We'd refuse to delete the expletives. We'd place sex and sexuality at the heart of the agenda. We'd act as advocates for a progressive form of politics. We'd demand the separation of church and state. We'd fight against sectarianism in any and every form. We'd resolutely oppose racism and prejudice, and we would support the equality agenda. And we would challenge the gatekeepers who stood in the way of progress at every turn. Or at least we would try. If you look at the front cover of the first ever issue of Hot Press, you'll see among the rock and roll reprobates and the politicians brought together, Sgt. Pepper style on that historic edition, right at the centre lurks the figure of the then Taoiseach, Liam Cosgrave. As Taoiseach in 1974, Liam Cosgrave had walked across the floor of the Dáil to vote against a bill to make contraception officially available in Ireland. It was a mad moment in Irish politics. It was a government bill put forward by the then Minister for Justice, Paddy Cooney. It was voted down by the Taoiseach, the opposition, and a few other Fine Gael TDs. Those TDs spoke at the time against what they called the permissive society. They were resolute in their opposition to homosexuality. So when Gay Sweatshop, a theatre group, came to Dublin in 1976 to perform in the Project Arts Centre, there was widespread outrage among the established political classes. Down with this sort of thing, they cried. They attacked it as foul, filthy, stinking muck. And then they used their control of the public purse to crush what we understood to be a legitimate expression of people's sexuality and their sexual preferences. Dublin City Council voted to withhold grant support from the Project Arts Centre. The Arts Council followed suit, also withdrawing funding. So this is the kind of territory into which Hot Press emerged. If you look carefully again at the front cover, just behind Liam Cosgrave's head you will see the image also of two men kissing. This was 1977, but it was a statement of intent. We knew which side we were on. We were all for the permissive society. And we continued as we started. On our second issue, we put Joan Armatrading, a black lesbian artist who come from the West Indies to Birmingham in England to live, on the cover. So we were committed from the start to the fight for equality, for inclusion, for an Ireland that would embrace all of its children equally. This was what I believed in, was what my partner in crime and co-founder of Hot Press, Maureen Sheehy, believed in, and it was what the Hot Press Collective believed in. A group of young writers and media actives, most of whom were recent graduates, like a lot of people in the room today. Everyone here who has graduated on this occasion has achieved something marvellous. You've proven yourself worthy of a bachelor's or a master's degree. You have attained a level of learning, of knowledge, which is enormously impressive and of which you are entitled to feel proud. So I'm coming to the thing that I think I can say which might just be useful. I'm sorry I've taken the scenic route. There's a little bit more scenery, but it won't be too long. Nothing that we've done or do in Hot Press happens in isolation. Our experiences help to shape us. To one degree or another, we are products of our place and our time. And this is true of the young writers, designers, and creatives who are working with Hot Press now. But we are not only that. When we started out, we were determined to have a dynamic relationship with Irish society. We really wanted to play our part in changing things. We wanted to bring about a more liberal, open, compassionate, egalitarian society based on mutual respect, support, encouragement, and commitment. One in which differences would not just be allowed for, but differences would be celebrated. And one in which it would always be possible to embrace the many. A society with a commitment to an even greater inclusion and ever more effective equalisation. This is a permanent, ongoing struggle. There is no such thing as an ideal society, but we have to try to work our way as well as we can to as close to an ideal society as we can create together. In 2015, there was one marker of Ireland having taken a vital step in that direction. We were inspired once again to put a photograph of two men kissing on the front cover of Hot Press. It was on the final run-in to the same-sex marriage referendum, and we decided to create two covers for that issue and to split the run 50-50. On one cover there was a photograph of two men kissing, on the other there was a photograph of two women kissing. No one that we know of, decried it as foul, filthy, stinking muck. The referendum was passed by a huge majority, and an entire generation breathed an enormous sigh of relief. So, if you want to be part of a process like that, if you want to achieve things, you need ideas, inspiration, creativity, the ability to innovate, and so on. Those things that trip easily off the tongue. But you need something else too. For us, it has never been about individuals. It has been about wanting to make a collective contribution to the greater good of Irish music, of Irish culture, and of everything that spreads out from there. And we knew that to do this, we would have to be willing to work hard, to put in the time, the effort, and the energy. We knew it would require dedication. We knew that it would take commitment. It would take a willingness to stretch ourselves, and in doing so, to get better at what we were doing, so that we could give more, and to do more and achieve more. Before I finish, I want to just point over here and say my son Duan and Rowan are here today. They're both part of the operation at this stage, doing brilliant work, and I want to pay tribute to them, and the rest of the family were here. Maureen Sheehy, my partner, couldn't be here today because COVID got the better of her. So I'll say finally today, what you have achieved in your studies is brilliant, but hopefully it will prove to be just, as Lou Reed put it, the beginning of a great adventure. A great adventure that will involve working hard and striving to make things better, not just for yourself, but for your family and your community and for everyone around you on this island of Ireland and beyond, in a spirit of generosity, inclusiveness, and love. It doesn't matter whether you're 20 or 4 times 20. The future is yours. Make the most of every minute of it. Thank you.
Presiding Officer, continuing the presentation of graduates, I shall now present those who have gained Bachelor of Science degrees and diplomas of higher education and have been able to attend here today. The full details are printed in the insert within the ceremony programme. I present for the degree of Bachelor of Science Kathleen Bittles. Rita Borisova. Anne Byrne. Nikki Louise Chilton. Ian Cook. Sally Coulson. Lee Dillon. Jared Doyle. Dean Frisbee Beattie. John Gillespie. Sheena Grimes. Stephanie Keenan. Jennifer Kinsella. I present to you for the degree of Bachelor of Science on behalf of the late Patrick Kelly, his mother Joan Kelly. Shafra Nolan. Eamon McNutt. Henry McAlea. Tara McCollum. Katrina McKay. Stephen McNally. Morgan Mooney. Anna O'Gallagher. David O'Shea. Michelle Power. Josh Ralston. Nicole Seifert. Mare Thornton. Georgia Tobin. Ravit Yane. For the Diploma of Higher Education, I present Carolyn Edgar. And Penny Hart.
Well now, wasn't that great? Well done, everybody. As Director of the Open University in Ireland, I could not be any more proud of what you, our graduates, have achieved, often against the odds with your work, family and other commitments, and sometimes many other challenges in your lives. I believe that today you are the most amazing body of graduates anywhere in the world. You believed in yourselves, and we believed in you, all of us. Your dedicated associate lecturers and advisors, the expert academics who write our courses, the designers and technologists who bring them to life, and all of the professional services teams across the university that make the Open University what it is, second to none. And now you've shown what that belief can achieve. I know that it has been often tough, and it's been even tougher over the last couple of years through the pandemic. No wonder employers tell us what they like about Open University graduates is that you're determined and that you're driven. You've juggled study and deadlines with many, many other demands. But you know what? I've been told that there is only one thing that's even harder than being an Open University student, and that's living with one. And many of your family members, your friends, your colleagues are here today. So could I ask all of our graduates to give your family, your friends, and your supporters a huge round of applause. When the Open University started back in 1969, our pioneer students and staff really were taking a huge step into the unknown, putting their faith in a university that was using new methods of teaching and that would be open to everyone. Many people thought that the Open University would fail, but instead it is now one of the most successful universities in the world. Over 2 million people have studied with us. That's not a university, that's a social movement. And it's you, our students, who make the Open University what it is. But we also owe a huge debt of gratitude to the vision of the university's founders. Foremost among them was Jenny Lee, the woman to whom Harold Wilson, the UK Prime Minister, gave the job of taking the idea of a University of the Air and making it into a reality in the late 1960s. Jenny Lee, whose own journey from a Scottish mining community to Minister of State in the UK government shaped in no small measure what the Open University is today. She believed that the Open University had to be a university for everyone, rich or poor, man or woman, black or white, and it would do that whilst maintaining the highest academic standards. You, our graduates, have achieved those high standards of scholarship and professional practice that she was determined we'd maintain while opening up the opportunity to more people than ever before. She was also determined that we would be a respected research university, making discoveries and inventing new products, enabling us to understand each other better and to live together peacefully and without endangering our planet. Curiosity is what drives us, and I'm so glad that you chose to join that most human of adventures, to learn and live, as it says in the university crest. Here in Ireland, we continue to take forward that work with significant and growing numbers of people across our island studying for certificates, degrees and diplomas across every single county, north, south, east and west. In addition to these formal courses, during the last year, over 285,000 individuals have engaged with our free online courses on the Open Learn platform. As well as our teaching, the Open University's research, innovation and knowledge exchange work continues to grow. I'm delighted that we are working with University College Dublin on a project called Our Shared Built Military Heritage. The principal investigators, Dr. Ivor McGrath from UCD and Dr. Suzanne Forbes from the Open University, are here with us today, and I know we wish them all the success that they deserve with that project. I'm also delighted that Dr. Jennifer Shepherd from the Open University in Ireland will be supporting them on that project, and it's great to have Jen here as well. In addition to this, just a couple of weeks ago, the Open University in Ireland worked with the University of Galway, the newly established Atlantic Technological University, and Ulster University to bring the 2022 MIT Technology Review's European Innovators Under 35 Conference. It's the longest title in the world, to Gweedore in the heart of the Donegal Gaeltacht, celebrating and showcasing the work of some of the most outstanding people in technology today who are working to solve real live world problems. Graduates, as you leave today, I hope you'll become an ambassador for the Open University and all that we stand for. Our values of social and environmental justice, our commitments to inclusion and diversity, and above all, our mission to be open to people, places, methods and ideas. The completion of your qualification means you join a community of Open University alumni across the world. You can continue to keep up with news, access careers advice, and maybe come back to study. You remain an important member of the Open University family. Do share your experience with others. Let them know what your journey has meant to you and what it could mean to them. We're hugely proud of you and thankful to everyone who supported you through your journey. So, Would, for the last time, all of today's graduates please stand if you can do so. And family and friends and supporters, let's give this amazing group of people another round of applause. The proceedings of this degree ceremony have been completed, and I can now declare this meeting of congregation closed. Would everyone else in the hall who's able to stand please do so?